Sweat Equity Podcast and Streaming Show. Hey, it's May.
We're in a rush.
Oh, we're in a rush? Okay.
Not really.
Well, we got to let everybody know we're the #1 comedy business podcast in the world. Thank you, Mr. Flair. And listen to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Anywhere podcasts are found, we're probably there. Our OnlyFans page got shut down for some reason. But I tried to get us on there.
Too far.
Well, look, we just meet people. We meet. We can go fishing where the fish are.
What are you talking about? What is happening?
That edible
you took
already
that
kicked
edible
in.
30 seconds ago.
Ooh, but if I
and you're
sniff
talking
it,
like, what?
and by edible, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about candy, or my nicotine gum. You want to be our BFFs?
Don't eat that. Don't swallow it.
Subscribe to the pod, rate us 5-star, write a little review, and share this show with a family, friend, loved one, coworker, stranger,
Dog. Goldfish.
We're you know what? We're the #1 dog listenership business podcast. Just came out, Apple iTunes. Not a big deal. If you want a website, get your free trial with the link in our description. Helps out the show, helps you out, and you should have a website. Let's get it going. Howdy dotty.
It's called Sweat Equity.
Listening to the Sweat Equity Podcast.
We're running. That's how we roll. We keep everybody efficient. Well, I mean,
I didn't even get started yet.
Oh shit! What is
Chug
it?
it.
What are you drinking?
I didn't even get started yet. And after listening to some of your podcasts, this is LaFoik. After listening to some of your podcasts and watching some of your videos, I figured I couldn't go for a classy glass, so I got a special like moonshine style glass. Just for this show.
Oh man!
See, that's the marketing prowess. You're pushing the brand message of yourself. I like it.
Know your audience.
Why don't you let everybody know where to find you? What's the best? Any plugs? Who you are?
Who are you?
We let the guests do it because it's better than me stumbling through it. Even though I do know you.
Well, yeah, I'd like to start out by saying when I was young, I was born. And then, my name is Brett Schklar, rhymes with scar. So people who know me are Schklar'd for life. Good way to remember it. I run an organization, an amazing group of people called Grow Powerful. We've assembled the greatest marketing and growth minds, and we deliver them to customers as fractional or interim or ICMOs. That's it.
Yeah.
We help companies grow.
And I'm on the roster. Hopefully Eric might be in the mix as well. As you're adding more, it's an interest. I want to make sure we get this out of the way. Can you explain what a fractional CMO is, what the interim CMO?
Yeah. So, basically, let me explain it this way. It sucks to be a chief marketing officer or a head of marketing in a company. You're crapped on all the time. If it's B2B, the salespeople are always trying to run that bus over you as many times as possible until your head squashes like vampire shows. So, and wait, there's more. A fractional chief marketing officer, a chief marketing officer has an average lifespan, and I know more about the B2B world than I know about the consumer world, but the average lifespan of a chief marketing officer is about 18 months. So it's kind of a temp job anyway, if you think about it. So what we do is we've brought some of the most amazing marketing minds like Law together under an organization or a collective, and we pimp them out. We deliver them to clients on a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day a week basis as fractional or part-time or even interim chief marketing officers. And everybody wins. CMOs, we are a society of ADD individuals, right? We always like bright, shiny, cool, new things. And working for one company, peddling one product is kind of, I was listening to one of your podcasts. I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day, and you got into the big love territory, where it's like, polygamy and multiple wives, and somebody was doing 100 customers, and you're like, it'd be like having 100 wives. And we as marketers, we are not marketing monogamistic. We like to do multiple things. And so I have an organization that goes out and finds gigs, and our fractional CMOs, or what we call ICMOs, will usually have anywhere between 1, 2, or 3 gigs at any given time. And it gives a lot of variety. It gives a lot of spice. It gives a lot of fresh ideas. And then people can cross-pollinate that across multiple clients of an idea that works here, and you can take it there, et cetera, et cetera. The companies that we work with win because they're able to get, I hate when people say, oh, get a fractional CMO because it's cheaper. Well, that's wrong. Here's why. And what we deliver are fractional CMOs who have been battle tested, proven, have done it over and over again as a chief marketing officer, have been in board of directors meeting, having to explain or getting the opportunity to explain what marketing is all about. So we're able to deliver supercharged marketing leadership to companies who may not be able to get that because they're smaller. And that's what we deliver.
Yeah. Well, we don't call the clients Johns. That as you pimp us out. Just doing that callback that I've been sitting on for 3 minutes.
You're sitting on that one.
I'm trying not to interrupt our guests as much.
I know. I wanted to interrupt when you were talking about the average lifespan. I thought you were going to tell us when we were going to die. Yeah. And I was like, what is it, 55, 56?
We're all gonna die.
Turns out it's 18 months. Well, we've way outlived it.
I went in-house a couple of years ago, and it was one of those things where, okay, let's get some stability, and we just get fired 4 straight times in a row, and you're like, all a year or less, and it was like they're all different reasons, and I don't want to go. If you say it's not my fault, kind of thing, then you sound like you're the problem. Right. But it was clear. It was like one we were both at. CEO got fired, and we were like, well, that's much
bad news.
We're gone. But another one never used me correctly at all. There's a myriad of reasons, but it's one of those things. Someone reminded me when I was feeling shitty about it. They're like, it's like radio. If you're a old school radio host, the more you got fired, the more you went up. And marketing is kind of the same thing. Like,
build your rep.
Jimmy Kimmel got fired from a Tampa radio station here where we're at, and I think he's doing all right.
Okay.
And so speak to if anybody listening that is interested in hitting you up as a fractional CMO, what it's about. I can tell you Brett does a good job of being very transparent. Here's the pipeline. Here's how many every week. And consistent. You talk about ADD with marketers, but here's the one thing. I think you can hone your ADD. Number one, we do like spinning plates. But number two, you got to hone other people's ADD because you're coming into a situation. It's always the rebound boyfriend situation. You're coming into a mess, right? You're coming into a home that has good
broken
bones.
Home.
Yeah, but
beat down.
There's a hole in the
trust
drywall.
Issues.
There's rat problems.
No, and there's an abusive partner, and the reality is that it's not you that's the problem, it's the partner that's the problem, and the partner of yours keeps saying, that's not the way my ex-girlfriend did it, or that's not the way my ex-boyfriend did it, and you go, well, that's why your ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend isn't there anymore, or marketing. But but people tend to repeat the same behaviors. We had I want to go back to a couple of things, Law, that you said. One of them is back to the idea of going in-house full-time as a chief marketing officer. I had an agency, a B2B technology marketing agency, which I grew for 13 years, sold it in end of 2018, early 2019, and it was a fun experience. It was a fun process. We had about 25 employees. We had about 230 different clients, and it was a great ride. After that, I decided, I don't want to have the responsibility of payroll, of finding the business, of doing all these things. So I decided to go in-house for a health tech company as a chief marketing officer. And that lasted maybe about 9 months. It was a good 3 months. It was a little weird for a couple of months, and that was a really bad couple of months. Now, there was a lot of drama in that company, and there was a lot of issues, and the company's no longer around. But I was the problem because I didn't admit to myself that I actually make a really shitty employee. I'm a way better fractional person who gets to be an advisor, who's the consigliere of the CEO about all things markets. And that's my jam. That's where I live. And the more people that I bring in to grow, we've got about 30, amazing people like Law now. The more we hear that over and over again is that it feels as a fractional CMO or an interim CMO or this sort of, outsider helping in, they get a lot more respect and a lot more trust, and a lot more authority than them being an actual full-time CMO, which I hear myself say that. And I say to myself, that sounds super fucked up. But it is what it is.
No, it's not, been doing it just a little bit now. It's nice, compared to the rest of the roster you have. I think I'm probably one of the younger, if not the youngest in the roster, but I carry a wealth of experience. And
your hair.
And my hair, yeah. And I show up on our happy hours pretty sweaty or doing something in the car. But the knowledge sharing part that you've made out of the community is great. I think that's number one as far as wanting to be in the Grow kind of family. I think more to your point on that is, let's not look at it as like a shiny new object kind of personality. I think it's better to have a couple clients going on at a time for strategy, because I think you can go, oh, we're doing this over here, and okay, let me take some of that from over there, what we're doing, and I'm going to apply it over here. And I think that's the advantage of having a fractional CMO or someone that's a consultant or advisor that's not a full-time employee coming in to look at everything, because they're pulling strategies. Oh, I was doing this with this client, from hundreds of clients. And automation is going to be a bigger part of that too, where you got to be on top of that, because marketing's operations now. The job is way more if this then that based now. And if you're not kind of on the ball with what's going on with the latest, like trying to use Chat GPT a little bit late in the game, and then it sounds like a foreign exchange student is writing your copy. It's technically there, but it doesn't really work.
I don't understand why would when you enter to ChatGPT, why would it be stupider?
It just doesn't. It's not like if you're like I needed. You can prompt it all day. I'm sure you can figure it out. Oh, you're saying
to have time to train it?
Yeah. You have to prompt it correctly. You have to learn how to use it. It's not as we talked about.
Database. The database guys would say garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah.
So you have to. You have to teach, and ChatGPT and there's others as well. You have to teach it what your language is, so it starts to predict your language and your style. Are you more authoritative? Are you more helpful? Are you more, asking questions? That kind of thing. But also, you have to be trained. Go look at there's hundreds of thousands of YouTube videos now that say here's how to write your ChatGPT prompt. Right? So they explain how to write a ChatGPT prompt. So you're getting trained and the system is getting trained all at the same time.
Yeah, Eric just dropped an infographic with a cheat sheet on it before we got on here a couple hours ago.
Surprisingly complex.
It's a lot.
A lot going on that thing.
It's like learning a TI-83. You could do some simple stuff on there, but if you want to do cosine, tangent, I love tangents. We failed to ask you a question. We ask everybody that they come on the first time.
What do you mean we?
You could have jumped in. You have a mic.
I figure
you're not a mute. You're not Cyrano.
Fan of the
question. I get it. I'm so loving boner that I make people lose track of whatever they got going on. But
yes,
we can backtrack.
No, we were getting into it. It doesn't matter when we ask this. What advice would you give your 13-year-old self?
Oh man, that's a great question. I love that. And my son, who's 18, we've gone through this conversation quite a bit. And there's a saying. Here's what I would say, and it's based on the saying, "Do what you love, and you'll never work another day in your life." Right? I forgot who said that, but it's great wisdom. I would change that, and what I would tell my 13-year-old self is this: do what you love, not what you're expected to do. And that's what I've told my son. I grew up, there were expectations. I go through certain levels of school. I get a certain job. I get married. I have kids, yada, yada, yada. And some of those things I really am glad I did. And other parts of that, I really wish I had somebody come to me and say, follow your passion. Don't do what people expect you to do.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I was talking to someone this morning about raising kids, and it was like, why don't you have them in T-ball? Why don't you have your son in T-ball yet? And I'm like,
he hasn't brought it up.
I'm pushing him towards things he has an interest in. Like now, meaning like I'm not trying to put a circle peg,
round hole, yeah,
whatever.
You can make either one. It could be a round.
I'm no Confucius.
Square hole.
Who said that?
Flip flop them if you like.
Confucius might be credited for choose a job you love. You'll never work a day in your life.
Really?
Yep.
But Ray Bradbury might also have it. This is why ChatGPT needs to exist to drill down on these things, because SEO is just garbage as well.
Sounds like Confucius to me.
Well, and so here lies another problem with marketing and ChatGPT and search. This is why Google is losing the game so quickly. You go to Google and you do a search. The first 4 things are sponsored, 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 sponsored. And my number one mission on Google in the last year is go beyond the sponsored. Then there's like 2 answers that are not sponsored, and this sponsored, sponsored, sponsored. So now you got Bing coming into the game, using ChatGPT behind it, and they're rewiring it. And instead of going Google style, which is everything is an ad, unless it's, this tiny little slit that's not, get a conversation. And I think Bing has a chance to win. There's been a long forgotten tool is now coming back because it's got ChatGPT as its search engine.
Yeah, for the uninitiated.
Speaking of tangents,
no, for the
finding quotes of authors.
You're allowed to go on tangents. For the uninitiated, ChatGPT is owned by OpenAI, which got $1 billion investment from Microsoft. 10 bill. Excuse me. 10 bill. Yeah, that's billion with an M.
Wouldn't that be crazy, man? Google go down.
Well,
that'd be,
I hope
it seems insurmountable.
I've talked about it in a conspiracy theory way, but not so much like when 96% of organic search is through Google and YouTube. And they're they're definitely doing it on YouTube, kind of cracking down on what they think. It's really advertising. Everybody thinks they're just woke, but they might be. But they just want to appeal to advertisers. That's why they demonetize a lot of things. But it's so funny. I listen to all these comics podcasts, and they're all like, get demonetized because I'm not woke. And it's like, no. They want ad money.
Right. They're not doing anything at you. They just are not paying attention to you because you're not doing what they want you to do.
It's a balance. They want the ad money, but they don't want to alienate sponsors. And so there is a careful balance there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got to make revenue. And people go, well, what is this, like TV? And you're like, yeah, it's a little bit more lenient than network TV was, but same things. The reason they didn't cuss wasn't an FCC because we wanted to as a nation. It was the thing because advertisers, more than anything. Then the FCC rule came in. Anyway.
Yep.
And the other part with ChatGPT, I always have to remind people, it only goes to 2021 on the info.
I think that's the free version. The paid version has actually gone up to...
we talk to the poorers out there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, if you do the...
I want to hear about the paid version, though.
Yeah, tell.
What does it do?
The only thing that I've seen it do is that, number one, you don't have a limit to what you can, how many searches you can do or how many prompts you can do. And number two is you don't have to wait for it to be available, which for a while it was kind of impossible to get in when other people were in. So the paid version just gives you access to, I think, those two things. And I'm not really sure what else.
Oh, man. What if it was something crazy like it's the real one?
Well, yesterday,
you gotta pay for the real one.
Yesterday, we were
all kinds of secret shit.
Yesterday, we were on one of those huddles with everybody on the rosters. Good showing on a Monday afternoon, and we were talking about how do you talk to CEOs. I found this really interesting, and I think it was in a lift in my when I was telling Eric. I'll hop in these huddles. I'll say one thing, and then it's an aggregate of everything I've been thinking, and then bounce. But it's one of those things where we're talking about how do you talk to CEOs. It was really the crux of it, and then it kind of peeled off into a lot of different exits. But one thing, I guess, did we come to a conclusion? I mean, it's one of those things. I think it's style. I think it's
write them a little note.
I think it's more psychology. I believe most CEOs don't really have a love for marketing, and if they did, you wouldn't probably be sitting there. So you're kind of in a self-selecting marketing haters. That's kind of why you get hired, right?
Yeah.
And I always go psychology. I looked around and seen like golf shit on the wall behind them, and been like explain display ads. They're like sand traps. You get that. And he was like, oh, okay, now I get advertising. And you're like,
you're a genius.
I'm no Kaiser Sose, but that's kind of what I was applying.
Huh?
Kaiser Sose?
Yep, I was definitely paying attention.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, it's interesting. I was actually on a call the other day with a client, and it's a healthcare technology company. Again, that and internet security sort of is my areas of expertise in marketing. And I was talking to the whole company, and we were talking about this new campaign we were getting ready to roll out. And one of the chief medical officers, the other CMO, wrote up this really detailed thing. And I said, that's great, but we need to dumb it down to where a CEO can understand it. And the CEO who was on the call of the company, he's like, wait, whoa, chill out.
What do you mean?
No, listen. Yeah, exactly. He was like taking offense. He was like, all butthurt or whatever. And I said, look, you have 40 things going on. Marketing is one of 20 things, and this campaign is one of 40, 50, 60 things. So if we're not short, sweet, to the point, and simple, we're losing you. And he's like, I guess I get that. I was like, okay, well, that's
I am important.
Yeah, you got a backhanded compliment. Yeah. You're like, instead of saying you're right,
but I am a real CEO. Yeah, but
do have a lot going on.
He got it after he got so offended by my comment, and I think other people got it. But it's the idea that it's not that you have to dumb it down to CEO level, but you have to make it very simple, very bite-sized for a CEO to get it, and that's something that we as marketers tend to fail at, which is speaking about marketing in the CEO language, not in marketing language.
Yeah.
So, and then what happens is as marketers, we start to think in terms of financial ROI, what's the cost of ownership, what's the X, what's the multiples on the spend that we're going to get. And that's good, but that's talking CFO. Talking PEO and talking investors is what's our growth trajectory going to look like? What is our total customer, customer lifetime value going to look like? These are things that the CEO focuses on. These are terms. And so we need to start, instead of saying ICP, which we as marketers know stands for
Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah.
I said it first.
What is that? Insane what?
Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, there you go. Your ICP.
We were racing to get it out.
No, I saw you about to say it. I had to say it at the same time. I was gonna wait, but go ahead.
But so nobody first of all, one of the things that Elon Musk did when he got to Tesla or SpaceX, one of those, he said, fuck the 3-letter acronyms, right? We need to stop with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we start talking about customers, prospects, and we talk almost in a sales language slant, CEOs tend to get that. Now, there's 4 kinds of CEOs that are out there. And one of them is a marketing-oriented CEO, but that's probably about 2% of the CEOs that are out there. They are rare, but they're fucking awesome. But the rest are product-driven or technology-driven CEOs, right? So in the technology world, it's that founder/CEO that grows a company to a couple hundred employees. You've also got the sales-driven CEO that really knows how to, win business, whether the product is good or the service is good or it just sucks, grandma's balls. And then you've got, the third type, which is the operations-oriented CEO that's really about the metrics and more CFO operating. And so one of the things that I'm putting together and working on to share with, the collective, with the team, that Law's talking about, that is, how do we identify the type of CEO, and then how do we create a language that CEO understands based on where they came from? Because we all want the CEO that's marketing, but like I said, it's only 2% of CEOs rise up through the marketing ranks.
And how do you do it without them finding out you're doing it?
Crystal Chrome extension for
like
LinkedIn,
some kind of like facial scanner. Real quick.
Exactly. Crystal knows. It's exactly. Like, how do you get it to work like you did with a kid that's like 6 years old or less, that you can jujitsu them pretty easily, versus when the kid gets older? It's a good question. It's not about what you're trying to do to them. It's about relating to them and connecting to them and understanding their love language, right? What is their language? What is the way they think, the way that they speak? Because we as marketers aren't great at, we know how to do the profile, the personas, or the insane clown posses. We also know how to, write things up that are going to really make an impact and create campaigns and build demand gen programs. But we're not, except for a small few of us, very good at getting by and explaining it to a CEO in their language, and then also, in a lot of cases, taking it to the board level and talking to the board of directors, which is a whole different language. There, you're talking to a kindergartner. You're talking to someone that needs, less than 5 words per sentence, not because they're dumb, they're usually incredibly smart, but their focus on the company is minuscule versus their focus on all these other things.
What do you do when the CEO's a bit pee-whipped and getting ideas from the missus?
God, I
because this happens more than you would imagine.
Yeah. Do you have a story that you?
I have kind of a overall amalgam kind of story. They'll come to you and tell you, "Hey, we need to have a presence on Facebook or something," and you're like, "Okay." And in my head, I go, "Okay, you think that because I know you don't have an account, because I'll look up the CEOs, going to want to see what they're about if I'm working for them." You got to. It's just like you were talking about. You got to know how to communicate. If they love Yeti coolers, we're going to talk Yeti coolers.
Talk to them like a Yeti.
Yeah. But finding that common ground. Just do a little stalking after I do the Bumble girl stalking. My match is on there.
That's social selling, right? I mean, that's. My wife told.
The whole thing is like they're telling you about Facebook. You need to have a presence there, and you're like, "That's not. You're a B2B product. I don't think this is a good platform," and it skews older. Although it does secretly have a lot of younger people on there because it's the pass-through for Instagram. But you don't go on there as a CEO. You're not going on there. So who's telling you this? Because it ain't going to be your kids. Because Facebook to kids right now is like hooking up with a fugly
it's like the retirement
chick.
Home of social media.
No, it's like hooking up with an Uggo. Everybody's done it, but no one's going to brag about it. No one's going to talk about it. So kids are not like yeah, my Facebook is all, check this out. They brag about TikTok and Instagram. So it's usually the wife feeding this idea that we need to do this without any kind of research or thinking at all. But they use it. They're the end user of it for other things.
Yeah, and I get that a lot, and maybe not in the exact way that we're talking about it here, but what I get is this. I'll give an example. Working with a client and building a sales presentation, and they're going from a very factual, features-based presentation to try to turn it into a story, right? Storytelling presentation to really get people engaged. And been working with the CEO, been working with the CRO, the Chief Revenue Officer. I've been working with a couple other people, some salespeople, really working and honing it and getting, great buy-in. And then a couple of days later, we're getting ready to send it off to the designers, and the CEO goes, I presented it to my wife the other night.
Oh, God.
And
I'm sure it did it with the gusto that
right.
And by the way, my wife is a very smart person, and here's
sorry,
qualified, and
the story's not about her.
Not her. Okay.
It's an enterprise sales company, and therefore, is your wife involved in enterprise sales? No. She's, but she really knows how to run the house really well. So it's it's kind of things where it's other parties are involved, and I think it's not just about a spouse, a wife or a husband of a CEO that has this great idea.
I think it's trust.
Left field. I think that's one of the things we have to build that. You said trust. I think it's a circle of trust. And I've learned over the years that what I have to do is establish who's inside the circle and who's outside the circle of trust, Fokker, right? And if we agree on who's inside the circle of trust, then anybody outside the circle of trust, their opinion, although interesting, is irrelevant.
Right. Yeah.
And I am... And I try to use that line as often as possible when people are outside the circle of trust. And, sometimes it's offensive, and that's okay. I don't mind being offensive. And sometimes it's oh, yeah, you know what, you're right. That is not somebody that we agreed as a part of this, plan, this story building, this strategy, all of this stuff.
It's real offensive when you get the chalk out and you draw the circle around you and then you exclude certain people. That's that's aggressive, unnecessary, I think. But that's me.
We would call that aggressive, passive aggressive.
Right. Aggressive.
When they come to you with a bad idea, just a horrendous garbage dumpster fire, like a seafood restaurant dumpster fire, real stinky. How do you handle that? Because you have to kind of turn into your own PR person in a way.
Yeah.
You got to spin this in okay.
I
stopped trying to placate and just get closer to being honest. I don't think that's going to work.
On the spectrum.
That's fine. I mean, you're going to get there anyway. I don't want to waste anybody's time. That's how I go about it. Yeah. And I'll tell them that. But I'll be I don't think this is a good idea. And that's kind of why you pay me. Because otherwise you would just carry out a lot of this stuff.
Then you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes people want to come, and you have to stroke people's egos, especially if they're the ones writing the checks to pay for you. And they say they want you to be direct and be honest with them. But what they really want you to do is, stroke their hair and tell them how pretty they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I've learned that one of the things to do when there's a harebrained, I call it the random acts of marketing. Yep, you got the flow.
I want Eric to play with my hair.
Yeah, what? I'm trying so that people can actually
he's never touched my hair
and tell me how wonderful I am. And so, there is a art and a science to stroking people's egos and turning them away to bad ideas. And you have to know, I do feel like half the time I'm in a Sopranos episode, okay? And I'm the consigliere. And my customer is Tony.
You could get whacked at any time.
Sometimes,
or your cousin Greg on Succession.
Cousin Greg, cousin Greg.
Because I've been everybody's been that guy. Everybody's been
everybody. Last week, I love it. He was brought in and he's like, He's the guy that had like let like 100 people go on Zoom.
Yeah.
And then later he's telling the Swedes, he's like, people think I'm good at it because I pretend like I care, but I don't really care.
You're a backstabber. He's like, well, no, not for you. I wouldn't be.
So I would say maybe less Cousin Greg, because Cousin Greg does not exude authority, but more like, Pussy or some of the guys in The Sopranos, where I always feel like I'm in a bit of a Sopranos episode. And you've got Tony that always has a great idea. You got Carmela, right? It's either bringing in some ideas or bringing in some rage, and either one could be a very powerful tool to train Tony, the CEO. But then you've also got your allies. And sometimes your allies, your enemies, and sometimes your enemies, your allies within the same family. And so when I hear an idea, I don't deflect it. I don't turn it away. I say, that's interesting. I wonder if we should go talk to so-and-so, who would probably say that's a dumb fucking idea. And usually this is where a chief revenue officer can come into play, or a VP of marketing, VP of sales, that could be your ally, or a CFO, or whoever the technology leader is. And then there's some jujitsu behind it, which is how do you frame the question of getting people's opinion? And so therefore you don't look like the asshole, you look like the fact finder.
Yeah.
You do like a special sign, be like, just, if I stroke my nose, that's a no. I do not like it.
Am I running home? What is it?
What's wrong with your nose? What's wrong with your nose?
We'll have to have you back on. We try to keep these to about 33 minutes because we heard that's the optimal business podcast time.
Interesting. Okay.
But we'll have you back on because I know we chop it up on those huddles and in fractional CMO happy hours that hopefully you'll be a part of, even though you don't drink anymore. So,
no, I'm sorry. I'll put this away.
Please drink one for me. Drink that whole bottle for me.
Oh no, he'll be a degenerate, just not with booze. But in those
it's a choice, court mandated or anything.
Wow, you did have that car with the DUI blow in it for a while to turn it on.
Awesome prank.
It's highly recommended by the judge.
You can edit this last part out, but we'll have you back. We'll have you back on at some point, and I'll see you when I see you.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.